My first table saw made me almost want to quit woodworking. Inaccurate cuts, a very wobbly fence, a little scary to use, and $150 down the drain. Today I'm going to walk you through the traps that almost every beginner makes, including myself, when buying the first table saw. Let's go. Before we get started, if you'd like to check out any of the tools that I show today, there'll be links in the description and the pinned comment. And of course, my TV viewers, scan that QR code right there with your phone, takes you right to my website. Now, let's avoid these traps. Trap number one to avoid is the budget table saw trap. Now, just because a table saw is a budget level table saw doesn't mean it's bad, but there are some bad ones in this category that I think you should avoid. Number one, if they have a wobbly fence, if it's moving and it's hard to lock down, it's hard to square up, that's dangerous. That was one of the biggest mistakes I made early on, is I bought the wrong table saw and I wasted money. I bought this Delta Shopmaster thing. This thing was scary dangerous to me. Maybe I was using it wrong. I was early on in my woodworking, so it could have been user error, but I don't think so. It was very difficult to use and very scary, and I could not get accurate results no matter what I did. It's one of the main things you want to look for on a table saw is, can you keep that table saw fence locked down and square? Now, there's a lot of table saws in this category that are $100 to $200 range. They're very inexpensive, and it's very tempting to go get one of those. But I'm telling you from personal experience, that is typically a waste of money that you should have just saved up and got a better saw. It's better just to wait and get a decent saw than it is to get one that's not going to work for you and you're going to have to upgrade anyway, or it's just going to wind up in the scrap pile or on Facebook Marketplace and you make $20 on a $150 saw. And trap number two, expensive table saws. In other words, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 table saws. You don't need those to get good quality work. As seen with the skilled table saw, and especially this DeWalt table saw, sitting mid-range at about $600, $650. This is a solid option for a table saw. Under $1,000, I think you would be very happy long-term with a saw like this. Trap number three is the stock blade trap. You see a table saw for about $300 like the skilled table saw, which I think is the best budget table saw as stated. But what a lot of people fall into the trap of is they don't take into account they're going to need to buy a better blade, because the blade that comes on almost every table saw is inferior to the ones that you can buy aftermarket, even from the same brand. Take DeWalt for example. The blade that comes on this DeWalt 10-inch saw is a 24 tooth blade. That's meant for ripping. It is not meant for woodworking, which is what we're using these for. So if you're going to split a 2x6 down the middle, that's a good blade for that. It's just rough framing blade. But if you want to get better results, especially on cross-cutting, you're going to want a better blade. So like this DeWalt 10-inch 40-tooth blade, that 40-tooth means it's a general-purpose blade. You can do both cross-cutting and rip-cutting with that blade. This is a really nice blade for a fair price. So when you buy the table saw, you have to figure in, I'm going to have to also spend another $20, $30, $40 on a decent blade. Now, blades can get wildly expensive. If you look at something like Forest or Ridge Carbide, they're excellent blades, but they cost $150 a piece. If you're just starting out, I wouldn't recommend getting one of those blades. Just get something like these DeWalt blades. There's actually a two-pack I recommend, a 40-tooth and a 60-tooth. Gives you a little bit of both worlds of a good cross-cutting and a good general-purpose blade. For the price, it's hard to beat. But don't fall into the trap of not upgrading the blade and taking into account you're going to have to buy that blade when you buy the saw to get the best results, of course. Trap number four, portability over stability. Now, a lot of us are in very small shops and we need small compact saws. The DeWalt 8 1/4 table saw is one of my favorite saws, but it's not all that stable by itself. Even if you put it on its stand that you can buy with it, it's very kind of an unstable, shaky table saw. Now this 10-inch table saw from DeWalt is very stable because of how the legs come out and they just basically like a wide footprint. And so it's extremely stable. But something like the DeWalt on its stand, or what I run into more often is when I put the DeWalt 8 1/4 on this tabletop. A lot of times you may have seen it in the previous videos where it'll move a little bit, especially if that cut is binding a little bit and I need to push it a little harder, it will move on you. So you want to make sure to secure that table saw on the table or whatever surface you're using. But don't fall into the trap of choosing a table saw's portability over a good stable surface or stable saw when you're using it. If that table saw starts moving around, it can cause some major issues like kickback. So you want to make sure it's stable and secure. Also, when you consider stability over portability, look at some of the table saws in the contractor style, which typically have a cast iron top like the Delta 36725 T2, I think is the model. I had the previous version of that. Really nice, stable footprint because it was heavy. The cast iron top is heavy. Rigid also made one that had a cast iron top. I think it's still in production. Or when you get up to cabinet style saws like the SawStop, everything is just smooth. Because of the weight of those saws, they just stick to the floor better, and nothing really moves around when you're trying to make cuts. So if your shop size and your budget allows it, I would strongly recommend getting a more contractor or even cabinet style saw over a job site saw. While I do love these job site saws because they are portable, great for small shops, they do lack in that stability versus those other styles. This is one of the biggest traps that a lot of beginners fall into, including myself, and I did for a while. And that's overlooking the safety fundamentals on a table saw. Now I have an entire video on table saw mistakes to avoid because most beginners make those mistakes, but this is a little different. When I first started, I didn't even know what a feather board was or what the purpose of it was. Now feather boards are budget friendly and they provide safety and accuracy on a table saw for certain cuts. So what a feather board does, you put that in your T-slot right here on your table saw. I like the Bow feather boards, but there's a bunch of others out there. And what they simply do is they provide pressure against the fence while you're making your cut. What that does is kind of locks that piece in against the fence so it doesn't move away from the fence, giving you better accurate results. And they also, by their design, help prevent kickback because those feathers only bend one way. And so if it does get a little pushback, it kind of locks them in place. It's often overlooked as a safety device as well as helping you get more accurate results. Second, a good quality push stick. Now the push sticks that come with these table saws typically aren't the best because they're just plastic, they're kind of flimsy. I'm not a fan. But there's tons of options on the market, from micro jig gripper to the new Bow push block. Several options. You can even make your own out of wood, but I like them for different reasons. So like the micro jig gripper or the Bow push U have different ways to basically get up and over the blade. Keeps your hand away from the blade, but also keeps you in control of both pieces, the cut side and the off cut side. So it just depends on your preference there. They're both really great options. Or if you make your own out of wood, those work well also. I just prefer those over the stock sticks. Another trap that I fell into that a lot of people fall into is I'll upgrade later. In other words, I'll buy the most budget tool now and I'll get a different one later. I did that and I wasted the $150. Like I stated, I bought that Delta Shopmaster, whatever, $150 table saw. It was a complete waste of money because it never worked like I needed it to. It felt unsafe. I couldn't get accurate results. And then I did, of course, have to upgrade later. And all I did was waste the money. I should have just saved up and got a better saw. In my defense, at the time, there weren't good options like the Skill on the market. They were kind of bare. Over the last few years, we've had some extremely nice table saws come on the market that don't break the bank. Another trap to avoid is continuing to use the stock throat plate insert. Now, most of them come with decent inserts like this DeWalt, the Skill, but they're wide. They have a really wide throat on them, and what that means is pieces get jammed in there and your cuts aren't as clean. So if you can upgrade that, I would highly recommend getting a zero clearance insert. A lot of times you can find those on Amazon or even Etsy. People will make them out of MDF that fits right into your saw. You can just go to Etsy and search your saw's model name and number, zero clearance insert, and you'll typically find those there. This seriously upgrades your cuts and gets you a much cleaner result, especially on plywood and things like that. One of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of beginners make is they buy used blindly. In other words, they go to Facebook Marketplace or a pawn shop and they just buy the saw because of the price without ever actually checking it out and making sure that it is going to fit their needs. In other words, make sure that the fence works and is square and everything is functional on it. Make sure that it powers on. Make sure that there's no problems with this saw before you buy it, because I see a lot of people buy, especially older table saws, and there's a few things that can happen here. First, a lot of the older table saws don't have the standard 3/4 inch slot. They have a smaller slot, and so your accessories won't work, like miter gauges and feather boards and things like that just won't fit in those slots. So if you're buying an older table saw and you want to use these newer accessories, make sure that works. What I also see is fences on older table saws a lot of times are either missing or broken, and a lot of people want to get a secondary fence, and there's really not any on the market that I know of, a secondary option for a fence for older table saws. You can make your own. There's a few videos on YouTube on how to make your own, but it has to be on a specific style of saw for that to work. So make sure you check out those options before you buy blindly when you're looking at used tools. Another trap a lot of people fall into is they buy the saw they think is going to work without doing the full research and understanding that it's not going to work out. Case in point, you buy a table saw and you want to use a dado stack because you want to cut wider grooves or do box joints or any number of reasons why you would want to use a dado stack on a table saw. A lot of table saws cannot accept a dado stack. For example, if you look at the DeWalt 8 1/4 table saw, you can't put a dado stack on there because the arbor is not long enough. This 10-inch table saw will accept a dado stack, as will the Skill. Most of the dado stack, not all. And then there's others that the riving knife won't come off, like the Hercules table saw. I could not figure out how to get the riving knife off of that thing. There was a way, let me know in the comments, because I didn't find it. So that riving knife is kind of in the way if you're wanting to do a dado stack. And also realize that if you do have a dado stack, you're also going to need a dado stack acceptable zero clearance throat plate for that table saw for that specific blade. Another big trap that a lot of beginners fall into when they pick a table saw out, they're looking for the portability for the small shop, but they also don't understand you're going to give up rip capacity. For instance, the DeWalt 10-inch table saw has 32.5 inches of rip capacity. The Skill has about 24 inches of rip capacity, so you're giving up quite a bit of rip capacity. In other words, how wide of a piece of plywood or sheet goods can you cut on this table saw using the fence? The DeWalt 8 1/4, about 24.5 inches of rip capacity, which I think is actually the same as the Skill, so I may have misquoted the Skill. My saw stop, 36 inches of rip capacity, which is really nice. I wanted 52 inches of rip capacity on that thing. I just didn't have space. I would never use it. It's just one of those things, it's better to have it and not need it type thing. But understand when you buy these table saws to look at that rip capacity. Are you ripping 24-inch wide sheets of plywood or 36-inch wide sheets of plywood a lot that you're going to want that extra capacity? That is definitely a trap to consider. Another trap to avoid is buying a throwaway brand. In other words, a no-name brand that you find on some retailer's website that you've never heard before. The price looks right, so you buy that table saw. If you have issues, maybe you drop it or it falls over and breaks something, you need a part for that saw, can you reliably get that part? If I broke something on this DeWalt, let's say I damaged my fence for some reason, I needed to get a replacement fence. I have full confidence I would be able to get a replacement from DeWalt on that table saw. Can you do that on a no-name brand that you found on Amazon or anywhere else, Temu or whatever? That is a trap you want to consider before buying that table saw. Another trap that a lot of beginners fall into is they get a brand new table saw and they just start cutting with it. And they don't take time to make sure everything is set up properly. For instance, you need to make sure that this blade is parallel to this miter slot and this miter slot is parallel to your fence, because that's when you're going to get the most accurate results. If you just take it out of the box and start cutting, your cuts could be off and that could be throwing off your projects. So you want to make sure to dial these things in properly. It should be in the instruction manual exactly how to do that. Most table saws will allow you to adjust the blade angle or tilt this way, and then also the table saw fence can be adjusted in some form or fashion to basically line everything up. A danger of not setting these table saws up properly is you could cause the wood to get bound up between your table saw fence and your blade, and it could cause kickbacks and that sort of thing. So make sure that you don't fall into the trap that you're getting in a hurry trying to get your first cuts done. You're excited, I know, we love getting these new tools, but you want to make sure everything's dialed in before you start working with it. A few other minor traps to watch out for is depth of cut. The 8 1/4 table saw obviously can't cut as deep as a 10-inch table saw, so you want to make sure that whatever you're cutting, typically what types of projects are you making, are you going to need that extra depth of cut when you start making the decision, are you going to get the small 8 1/4 versus the 10-inch? What's the bevel capacity? Most all table saws are about 45 to 47 degrees, so you should be covered, but that depth of cut will also come into play there, especially on the smaller 8 1/4 saws. The riving knife that can't be removed, another trap you want to avoid. You should always have it on there because it does help prevent your wood from binding up on the blade and causing kickback. That's with a regular table saw blade, but if you are using a dado stack, you're going to want to remove the riving knife. And another reason you'd want to remove the riving knife, because it comes up and down with the blade, is if you make your own table saw sled and you start raising the blade up, you can't make the cut through the middle of the sled with the riving knife on there. Ask me how I know. And another small trap to avoid is power. Most all these name brand table saws that I have reviewed, like the Skill, the DeWalt, Evolution, Cobalt, a few others, have all had plenty of power to cut through most anything you want. Most of these have a 15 amp motor, unless you jump up to something like a cabinet saw that has a 1.75 horsepower or 5 horsepower or 3 horsepower motors. You shouldn't have any issues with most name brand table saws cutting the majority of wood you're going to be cutting, like walnut and oak and plywood, pine, that sort of thing. You shouldn't have any issues with power if you stick to the name brands. But again, if you go for one of those off brands, you want to make sure you're getting the power you want. There is a death trap to avoid with table saws. We all know that they can be dangerous if used improperly, if set up improperly, a whole number of reasons. It could just be a random freak accident that they could be dangerous. So you want to be prepared as much as possible if that happens. I think This is one of the most important tools you can buy for your shop. This is a tourniquet. Now, there's 3 things you need to know about these before you go buy one. A, make sure you buy a very good quality brand. I like North American Rescue. I have no association with them. We was issued them when I was a trooper. They work great. They're just good quality. The last thing you want to do is buy a cheap quality tourniquet that breaks on you when you need it. B, you need to be trained to use this thing, because if you don't know how to use it, it's going to do you no good, because in a panic, you're going to lose a lot of your fine motor skills, your thinking skills. So if your muscle memory is, you know how to exactly put this on and use it, it's going to be more effective. And D, make sure it's close by and readily available. If it's buried in a junk drawer and it takes you 60 seconds to find it, that's not a good day. So make sure that it's close by. What I would recommend is getting at least 2 of these. One to train with, so you practice with it, and the other one you never use until you need it, because as you practice with them, obviously you're tightening them down and all that stuff, so you're weakening that tightening mechanism. So you want to get one to train with, one to actually keep and use. I actually have 2 of these in the shop, one over by the miter saw, one at the table saw. Not a bad idea to throw a couple in the truck. They're inexpensive, they can save your life, and there's a lot of good training videos. I'll drop my favorite in the description so you can go watch and see exactly how to use these. I think they're an essential tool in the shop, especially with a table saw. If you'd like to check out this table saw or any other tool I showed today, links in the description, the pinned comment, and of course, QR code for my TV viewers. Now, if you're still a little bit confused, you should go check out the Skilled Table Saw review, full review, deep dive into that saw. Click in that box to get you the big old virtual fist bump.